You're listening to Over the Bull, where we cut through marketing noise. Here's your host, Ken Carroll.
I'm giving out a gold star to Ryan on this episode of Over the Bull. Stay tuned. So what can you learn from Ryan's gold star? I think you're going to learn a lot. So Ryan is a client of mine that we've been coaching for some time. And the guy's very smart, okay? He was an engineer and he does other things now. But he's very patient, he's very analytical, and he's just an all-around good guy. Now, when we started working with him, what we did was we started looking at competitors like we normally do. We glean what keywords, what kind of ads, what their marketing position is, what their call to actions are. We really do a deep dive into those so we can kind of understand exactly where we're starting off at. Now, once we've done that, then we run an ad campaign based upon that information. So about 8 weeks ago, maybe a little bit more than that, through one of our coaching sessions, we were debating on starting something different. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what it was, but what I will tell you is that the first campaign that we ran, it was what everybody else is doing minus the things that make him different. And then we started this second campaign up, and we ran it for 2 weeks, took a look at it, and we saw signs of life, but not big ones, like very faint. Then we're 2 weeks into it, and all along we have these discussions. So, when I go through coaching sessions, it's like, I talk about the good and the bad and the pros and the cons, and then the client gets to make the ultimate decision. And my job is to educate them and give recommendations, but ultimately it's to follow suit with where they want to go. Now, Ryan decided to stick with it because he saw smoke and he took my advice that I saw something. Not to say that I'm the end all with it. I just happened to see a signal that I thought was good. Ran it for another 2 weeks. The signal was a little bit stronger, but that first campaign, that first paid ads campaign that was outperforming this one was still outperforming it. I mean, all the leads were coming from it. He was fully funding campaign number 2 and campaign number 1. And so we have the discussion. Do we shift the budgets? Do we pull the plug on it? Is there enough there for us to even worry about? So time progresses. Ryan sticks with it. He digs his heels in. And we work harder on it. We make modifications. We change things. We work on landing pages. And we're doing all the other things that we're doing normally. And he comes in this week to his coaching session, and he's busy, really busy. And we go look at the ad results, and lo and behold, the new campaign is completely outperforming the first campaign. Now, it took time, and he invested money into it, but now we're seeing the magic. Now, it didn't come easy. There was a lot of work. There was a lot of, was there even anything there for us to even look for? But there was. And it was due to his patience. And it was due to his commitment to fund the effort. Now, here's the deal. This campaign is converting meaningful actions. Okay, not clicks. I'm talking about phone calls, forms, bookings. I'm talking about meaningful actions, guys. The meaningful actions on this new campaign is 1/3 to 1/4 of the cost of what that first campaign was. So think about that. If a phone call cost $50, divide that, by 4, which would you rather do? Pay $50 for a phone call or 1/4 of that for a phone call, right? But we're not going to stop either one of those campaigns. And here's why. 8 weeks of data is nothing in the grand scheme of things. We want to be able to see long-term data in order to be able to understand what's going on year-round. And it could be that little niche campaign, it could be an accident. Maybe we just hit it right. Maybe this is what's going to drive his business and grow him to the next level. Maybe this will be a seasonal campaign. We don't know. We have 8 weeks, right? Okay, so what does this mean to you? Now, in the world of marketing, it takes time and patience. Now, patience is one of those things which I'm sure we're all lacking, right? I mean, I go to Amazon and I want something and I'm disappointed if it can't be at my house in a day or two. Now, And if I want something bad enough, I'll try to find it in town, even if I pay more for it, because I want it. Now, learning patience is something that is very beneficial. But in a world that focuses on instant gratification, that can permeate into places where it simply does not exist. And in the case of digital marketing and building credibility for your business, fast doesn't exist. Yes, we all have those little stories in the marketing world where something just hit and it took off right from the beginning. Now, that doesn't happen most of the time. Most of the time it's work. So here's the thing. If Ron would have stopped his campaign after a month, he would have never learned. If he had stopped after 6 weeks, he would have never learned. Now at 8 weeks, he's learned something. So patience was good. But the other thing was that we were striving to learn something. And we knew what we were trying to learn. And we also had a mental threshold of what that is. But we were taking it step by step, week by week, and looking and learning as we went, making subtle changes, not making drastic changes. And then he reaps the benefit at the end. So what's the opposite of what happened with Ryan? The opposite is impatience. It's a knee-jerk reaction. It's working with people that aren't engaging in conversation and trying to develop strategies to meet goals and testing it. It's not the, hey, how much further do we take this kind of conversations? It's where those things don't exist is the opposite. It's where budgets are decreased before things are realized. You see, a lot can be learned from this example. And to his credit, he's reaping the reward this week, and he should. He invested in it. He did things the right way. So, from your perspective, here's some things. When you're running ads, paid SEO, or whatever, social media ads, or whatever you want to put that in, are you setting goals, and are you doing these things to try to meet those goals? And are you learning something when you're working with your person and you're meeting with them? And are you making strides in the right direction? You know, I forget who it was. Was it Thomas Edison who said, I didn't fail, a bazillion times trying to make a light bulb. I just learned how not to do it, a bazillion times before I figured it out. It's like there are things that I think that's correct. If not, feel free to comment on my illiteracy. But the idea is that if you're learning, even if it's a mistake and you're learning something. And if you're spending money working with people that aren't qualified to help you, or if you're not moving in the right direction, then you're spending money on nothing. And so Ryan, what he was able to do was exercise patience and exercise, let's figure this out. Now, he may have carved out a niche that his competitors are not going to find. Maybe never. Maybe they'll find it next month. But what does that mean? We have to change what we do. They change what they do. That's how it works. It's never ending. By the way, this is why your website never ends. This is also why you want to always be working on your website and your content among the AI monster, the behemoth that's taking over the internet, that's changing the way we market, that change the way we look at data. That's here, guys. That's not in the future. So let go of those old practices. I know I keep beating on that, but I'm going to keep beating that up. Just like I'll beat up cold, spammy emails. Don't answer those things. Shame on you if you're doing it. So, Ron, buddy, this gold star is for you. Congratulations. And, the other thing that you see when you do this are the mistakes. And unfortunately, there's some people, you can't stop them from making the mistakes. Impatience, misunderstanding, believing the mythology that we're told about the internet, thinking there's a magic bullet that sits out there that's going to solve all your problems, thinking there's some magical person out there who knows how to run Google ads in a certain way, and that if you just find that guy, then all your problems will be over. There's so many mythologies out there, and people follow them, and unfortunately, sometimes you just can't talk them off the ledge. There are people who are going to believe that if SEO is done just right, then they're going to get a ton of traffic overnight. Simply not true. There are people that go on subjective decisions like content or how many words or paragraphs or whatever should be on a web page is a subjective decision based upon some idea that people don't read anymore. When in reality, it's really based on topic to topic. Did you know that? Did you know that there are tools that tell you how long an article should be based on a given topic? What those keywords should be, what the article should be about? Quite a bit different than just writing up a blog article. And please, please, please don't tell me you're using ChatGPT to generate blog articles and sticking them on your website. EEAT principles, make sure to look those things up. All right, so anyway, I'm going to move on, but I think a lot could be learned from Ryan. Also, make sure you have yourself a good person working with you. And by the way, finding a good person, by the way, if someone runs ads, it doesn't mean that they know what they're doing. It just means that they know how to run a certain level of Google ads. And so they don't necessarily understand it in the way that they should understand it. Now, finding people who renew their certifications every year, find people that are partners with Google Ads, for example, at least those are signals that those people take it more seriously than others. And so maybe there's a couple of hints that you can have to find out if you're working with somebody or not, but mainly it's the conversation. Are you having conversations? What do we learn? What did we get out of this? Okay, we got this many clicks and we got this many conversions. Well, what do you think happened with these other people that never signed up? Is there a way to get them to engage with our company so that we don't lose and bleed the majority of our traffic? Those are the conversations you should have. And if your ads guy gets frustrated or your marketing person gets frustrated with those questions, then there's probably deeper situations on why that's the case. Now, let's move on because there's some stuff going on in the news I'd like to cover with you. And one of them, I'm looking at it, and it's coming from, by the way, this segment on is reference to other material. What I try to do is pull in material that other people are quoting and then give my opinion on it. So the information that I'm sharing with you, I'll provide links to it and all that stuff, but this is not my content. I don't claim it's my content, but it's good and good for conversational purposes. All right, so the first one here is Meta's AI-driven ad creation. So this particular quote, I'll pull it, and you're seeing it, this basic stream of thoughts going through strategicmarketingtribe.com, the Times in the UK, Seafoam Marketing, The Guardian, and several other resources. But the gist is Meta plans to roll out a fully AI-powered campaign creation, images, videos, text, and targeting based on your spend by the end of 2026, aiming at leveling the playing field for small businesses. Okay, so we've kind of talked about this a little bit. Now, we see some potential promise, end of 2026, and we see what they're planning on doing. Now, we could look at it from a couple of lenses. The first lens is, well, this is kind of exciting. I'm interested to see what happens with it. But you can also see that if this tool comes about, this becomes the new universal basic income of meta marketing, right? It's the baseline of what you do. And how do you truly level the playing field across large organizations and small organizations? It may bridge some of the gap. It may bridge the gap for all we know. But the idea is that it's interesting to see that they're rolling it out. But on the flip side of this equation, this whole image, video, text, one thing that I am seeing from the younger generation especially, and I think they're actually more in tune than people my age, and that is they recognize AI stuff when they see it. And on the flip side of this equation, remember that we're seeing signs YouTube's devaluing AI content. And so what is this saying about using real content? Is that going to be the thing to resist the urge of easy and put more effort into being more original? Is that what's going to push you over the top? Or is everybody going to run these ads, let AI do everything, and everybody come home like a champ? So far, I've not seen that. I've not seen it, and I can't imagine it just becoming a new baseline at best and not replacing anything. But we'll see. But it is interesting. I mean, I'm all about leveling the playing field for small and big businesses. I think that's kind of neat to be able to do that. What's this other article? What's this say here? So check this out. AI adoption among small businesses. 38% of small and mid-sized businesses are already using AI for marketing, recruitment, and customer support, while nearly half have upgraded cybersecurity recently. Livewire and 15 other resources are pointing this note out. So what does this tell us about the world of the internet? Well, I'll tell you what it tells us. We have a guy that does nothing but manage our security and traffic, specifically bot traffic. You look at Cloudflare's mechanisms, there's a war going on between bot traffic and human traffic, and there's this idea of the internet starting to transform into what some are calling a zombie, where you just got this lifeless AI mechanisms that are faking, responses and providing content and all that. So you can imagine what people are thinking in terms of the value of the internet if it all just becomes this echo chamber of non-sentient AI blather. Now, the idea of 38% of businesses already use it, of course, we use AI in our business. Now, I don't use it to do certain things, but I do use it for others, and I do see the limitations right now, although it's great. I mean, it does save a ton of time. But if I were to put it in the wrong place, then maybe what I would have are misquotes, like you see some celebrities who are using these AI models as their brain, and they're not fully checking it out, and they look a little foolish on the back end. But the idea is that, yeah, you can use it, and we do use it. I mean, there are things I do to have data processed using artificial intelligence that would take me hours upon hours to do. But I do know that when I process that data and it spits it back out, typically it doesn't get everything that I ask it to do, and then I have to reiterate it or say it in a different way. So there's almost this idea that we're having to learn how to speak in a way where artificial intelligence can understand what we have and then be patient, read the data, and then make adjustments based upon what it gives us and then change that again. Now, is this the infancy of AI? I mean, let's face it. The AI world is going so fast right now. I mean, so incredibly fast that it's hard to keep up with. We don't know what it's going to be in a year or two. Now, as I mentioned, when we talk about sentiency, it's so funny when we ourselves can't really define what life is or sentiency is or whatever, but yet we're somehow claiming that, AI is going to reach that point. Well, if we can't define it, how do we know it's achieved it, not just faking it? These are uncharted waters for all of us, and we're going to have to see what's going on. So check this out. In a survey, 77% of business owners said AI improves confidence in their work quality, and 75% felt it helps compete with larger firms. Marketing was the top AI use, 82%, delivering time and cost savings of about $5,000 monthly, or what they're saying is 14 hours. And this is brought to you by the good people of Boston Institute of Analytics and the New York Post. I don't doubt these statistics. I mean, I do think that looking at the data does improve confidence in the work. Now, on the other side, it can be a false sense of confidence. I'm working on a new app for our company to help with our clients. And I was referring to AI to give me some of the the help because it's a programming language I've not used before. And I'm basically just doing it. And I'm sitting here and I was asking a question and it's pulling like some of the strangest answers. And it's like, it's not there. And so it could be a false sense of confidence and it could be a real sense of confidence. And so that's all interpretive, obviously, because one's good, one's bad. And help compete with larger firms, of course. I mean, as I mentioned, I run certain computations through AI, and I'm able to do the work of, in a few minutes, what would probably take hours upon hours to process the same data. Marketing was a top use of AI. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? I mean, is there going to be the backlash? Is there going to be the backlash where as the more people adopt it, you think about it, more work gets done, the more everybody kind of cheats with their AI content. And then original content, what's going to be the value? Is that going to be the equivalent of gold on the internet in the future? How's that going to look? Let's look at this next one here. AI-driven content goes viral on a shoestring. All right, let's see what this is here. The original tamale company, family-run in L.A., used ChatGPT to co-write and voice a 46-second ad in 10 minutes. It went viral and racking up 22 million views in 3 weeks and boosting foot traffic. Now, this is from businessinsider.com. Now, what do we learn from that? Now, as humans, as sentient beings, our imaginations run wild. Oh, man. Let me use ChatGPT to co-write and voice a 46-second ad. And it did in 10 minutes, 22 million views. Sign me up. So why does this not happen all the time, every day, all the time? I mean, why is this? Why do you see this success story not repeated? Why do you see, I don't want to derail the train here, but I'm kind of pulled back into this do-it-yourself website builder program where it shows people that are either famous or they're actors or whatever, and they don't appear to be the smartest people on the planet, but they build a website and they say, oh, it's the greatest thing. How come you don't do that do-it-yourself website builder? Why are they on the Super Bowl and you're not? There's a lot to kind of process here. And the idea is that, yeah, this is great, but is this the standard or is this what you should expect or is this not the norm? And what went into that process and how did that go about? And so the idea is this does stimulate and it does let you see the idea that AI can do tremendous things as it helps us out, but it's not the answer and it's not, everybody's not going to get 22 million views. I mean, just think about that. It's a new baseline, right? At very best. And then every once in a while they hit a home run, just like another kind of campaign may hit a home run. But it does help. It is a great example of how you can use AI to kind of stimulate processes and different things. Just like one of the old things you used to do in marketing, and you were doing design work or coming up with stuff, is if you got stuck, you would actually do the opposite of what you're trying to do. So, for example, one of the classic examples I heard of is, if you're trying to sell bathing suits and nothing's coming to mind to help you stand out, to get out of your mind lock, what you do is you swap it out. You start thinking of a rhinoceros wearing a bathing suit, or you think of the opposite of what it traditionally does, and sometimes that frees your mind up. And so, knowing those internal processes and how that stuff works, there's a lot that goes into that. But it is interesting, isn't it? And it does stir the imagination, and it does make us think that, well, maybe that'll be me. Maybe I can have my 10 minutes. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Okay, so what are our takeaways today? Our takeaways are AI's here. AI is not going anywhere. And AI is today, not tomorrow. It's all about your credibility and citations and getting in those places in those AIOs. Remember, artificial intelligence overviews. And if you're big Google fans, you put a G in front of that. So patience wins. Patience wins, guys. Google Ads strategies, you never rush. You make modest moves as you go. You don't make big moves as you go. And you invest in a strategy and you fully test it out and you fully fund it. Not the fun things we want to talk about. It's not the get it tomorrow, order it today kind of mentality. Focus matters. Scattered, half-baked efforts, they backfire. There is a place for ready, fire, aim in marketing. Absolutely, there is. But those are for like entrepreneur kind of efforts. When you're really trying to learn something, you got to put an effort into it. There's a difference between the two, and don't get those things mixed up. Or as I mentioned, AI is now. Small businesses are embracing AI. Now, everything from ad creation to hiring. All right. So it is a tool. It's not a threat. Okay. The more I'm doing the AI stuff, the more I realize that what it's really doing is opening up whole new opportunities based around being able to use this powerful tool in a meaningful way. I don't see it as being a threat. I'm seeing it being in a societal change. And I'm also seeing it being overused. And I'm also seeing people using it, especially in agencies. Remember that number up there, how many agencies and marketing attempts are being used. Most of those attempts I'm not going to say this, but I'll say a portion of them are using that to kind of take advantage of businesses that don't understand those things can be done with AI, and they think that people are doing a lot more work than they are. You know, this real funny story. A couple of years ago, I had one of those things that came across my desk was a copywriting service, and they said, "Oh, we'll write this much for you, and we'll give you the unlimited revisions, as many revisions as you want, and we won't complain. Whatever you want, one low price." And you go, wow, that's great. But then you start doing the math and you realize that person couldn't be in business. So then you realize it's gimmicky, right? What's the gimmick? The gimmick is they use AI to do it. They feed your responses into AI. They just kick it right back to you. And they just play that little game. And all they're doing is paying for the overhead of what AI is doing, you see. So marketing companies, in my opinion, a percentage of it, if the percentage is based upon the ones I'm engaging with, 9 out of 10 are using these tools to exaggerate what they're actually doing for a client and making it look like they're doing more than they are. Now, on the other side of that, there are powerful, powerful ways to use AI. But, there's always the negative to the positive. Like I never had to have a guy that did nothing but worry about bot traffic infiltrating our sites prior to the advent of all this. And so there's a lot of energy being wasted in these AI wars that are going on too. All right. So that's all I've got for today, believe it or not. That's the main tune for today's podcast. Please go back and look. And look, don't give up on EEAT. Look at EEAT, Google it, and don't give up on this. I really wonder. And by the way, the idea is not to avoid AI, okay? It's not to just completely neglect this powerful tool. But I really think that the ones that are going to shine in the end are the ones that care enough to create real human content that's based on authority and builds trust and expertise. And so if this is you, I think you may have a golden opportunity, and let everybody else follow the Pied Piper of full AI, full on board AI. Keep your stuff original, and you may just be surprised at what happens for your business. Until next time, this is Ken with Over the Bull. Thanks again for listening to all my ramblings. I look forward to next week.
Thanks for tuning in to Over the Bull, brought to you by Integris Design, a full-service design and marketing agency out of Asheville, North Carolina. Until next time.